Hi, thanks for clicking on this video. For today, I'm drawing a promotional poster for Ladybug Press. It's a Rizzo mini press some French run based in New York. Oh yeah, before we start, this is sort of my first talking YouTube video in a few years. First of all, I have a speech impediment, so if you're having trouble with what I'm saying, I made subtitles. Second, I kind of want the vibe where you just pretend you're in a voice chat with me, and I just keep talking tangent after tangent, so I hope you like that. Third, I guess we should start with the materials. So, I use the liter black comic ink in number 1. And then I also use a Tachikawa G pen with a nib holder. And for penciling, I use a Pilot Color Eno in red. Eno? Yeah, Pilot Color Eno in red. I also have a blue one. For the background, I use Pilot drawing pens. They're not marker proof, so I don't really like them. And then a random Faber-Castell marker for color fills. The paper I use is the liter manga paper in B4 size. I have a small setup at the moment, so it was too big and I had to cut it down. Now, personally don't think tools define an artist, but I do think that nib pens offer a variety of line weights a simple pen would have, but both have their own strengths and weaknesses. Same for digital. Some people prefer pen pressure and some don't. So, one question I always hear asked around is, how do I get good at line art? I suck at line art. And to that, I have 2 suggestions. 1. Skip it. You don't have to do it. Or 2, I don't know, draw comics. There's no going around it. If you want to get better at drawing lines, you should have a project that can force you to just draw lines over and over. I think comics is the best way to do it. Okay, maybe not comics exactly. You can also draw zines, 30-day challenges, etc. You know, anything that forces you to familiarize yourself with your tools. And I'm not just talking about analog tools, okay? I am primarily a digital artist. I just started getting into analog again this year. So, I'm not an expert or anything, but I can give you 5 simple tips to improve your line art. Okay, 1. To make lines seem clean, even if they aren't, draw bigger than your intended output. For example, if the intended output is A5, draw it in A4 size, so when you size it down, the lines wouldn't look as wobbly. 2. When you're drawing a stroke, look at the end of your path rather than your pen, so you don't miss your strokes, your checkpoints. I don't know why that works, but it does. 3. Line variation. Okay, this is why some people would say that their sketch is better than your line art. The brush they use to sketch has more varied line weights. Usually, that's the case. If you have a thin inking pen, go over your strokes again. Okay, 4. Now, this is sort of a digital only advice, but turn your opacity all the way down, almost to the point where you can't see it. I like to turn my sketch blue or red so I can see it better even when it's like 5% opacity. You can also blur your sketch a little bit. This way you'll be forced to reinterpret your sketch when you're lining. And finally, have confidence in your strokes. Do it in one swoop instead of like chicken scratching the lines. I think the more you do it, the easier it'll come naturally to you. Okay, I ran out of stuff to say, so I'm just going to talk about the piece. So for the fluffy parts of the drawing, like Ladybug in the chair, I stippled the lines to create the illusion of a soft feathery texture. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I used 3D models in the background details, like the table and the computer. I mean, it's kinda cheating maybe, but you know, I'm still drawing it. It's a time saver if anything. Sometimes manga artists straight up just apply a filter over images, so this is okay. While I don't think artists should always rely on 3D tools, it's there for a reason, so it's not bad to use it. But I do think that if you're using 3D assets for backgrounds, you should trace over it instead of leaving it as is so it doesn't look out of place compared to your subjects. And there's some consistency going on. A lot of webtoons have this problem actually, in my opinion. I get that there's a time crunch, but it it does look bad sometimes. Anyway, I'll leave for a moment and come back when it's time to fill. I'm hatching the bottom of the hair and also some edges, especially surrounding the areas I want light to hit to give sort of a gradient vibe. And then I mark the parts I want to fill with X so I don't forget. I recommend getting a brush pen for fills to get all the nooks and crannies. But a cheap permanent marker with a thin tip should do fine. Now I'm just adding last minute details. I do regret not putting enough color in the scene. It's not cluttery enough for me, but I guess I'll just add it in digitally. Okay, I got this screen tone set from Yahoo Auctions, I think. It's from the 90s, so it's quite yellowed and doesn't stick as well, but it does a job. Okay, when you cut using a box cutter, cut it lightly. I learned this the hard way. At this point, I consider it done, so I'll go ahead and scan it. Okay, I use a Canon Light 300. It's better to have a printer with a built-in scanner, but it's a good standalone scanner that I use a lot. I scanned it in black and white, 600 dpi, and then opened it in Clip Studio Paint. Okay, I recorded some footage of this, but the file got corrupted, so I'll do a quick version. Okay, here's the file, and then on Layer, Correction Layer, Gradient Map, and then I like to lighten some areas, but not too light. Like this. Just so the white parts of the keyboard show up. And then I hit OK. And then I merge it down. And then going to Layer Property. And Layer Property. Expression Color. And then Monochrome. Like that. It's already monochrome. And then I convert brightness to opacity. I fill it to fill with white. And then I just fill the background with this. Some hatching. Until it turns out like this. Oh my god, I went through this entire video without introducing myself. Oh well. Okay, hi, you can call me Saing. I mainly do illustrations, but I want to make a pivot into comics this year. I finished a one-shot a few months back, but I'm making one again, and I want to join more one-shot competitions. So hopefully I'll be able to document my journey on this channel. To be honest, I find recording the most difficult part of this video. Like the vocal fry, the stupid mouth sounds, I'm sorry about that. And I don't know if you could tell by the silence, but I don't really know what to talk about. So if you're okay with no commentary videos or partial commentary videos, or if you could suggest topics, I'm open to suggestions and comments. Please comment. Anyway, I'm not really expecting anyone to stick around to the end, but if you are, thank you. Hopefully I don't get bored and keep up with this, so I'll see you whenever. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.